Xinjiang 2019. Leaked footage showed hundreds of blindfolded Uyghur prisoners, shackled together, head shaved, loaded onto trains, with cameras everywhere. Facial recognition at the peak in every corner. A social credit system that tracks every citizen's movements, every purchase in every market world. Subscribe now, but you're about to see how China built the most sophisticated surveillance data in human history, and how Orwell spilled this tea decades ago. The bulletproof system. In 1949, George Orwell published a novel called 1984. He warned the world about a totalitarian surveillance state where Big Brother watched your every single move. In 2025, China showed us the practical demo. Over 700 surveillance cameras are blanketing China right now, maybe even more. That's one camera for every 2 citizens. Facial recognition software processes every face in real time, tracking people as they move through cities, towns, and villages. The system is called Skynet, and the name isn't ironic, it's totally on purpose. These cameras don't just record, they identify, analyze, and predict. You can walk down the street in Shenzhen or Beijing, and the system knows where you are, where you've been, who you've talked to, what you've purchased, and whether you've broken rules. 3 months ago, it assigned you a score, which is called the social credit score. If you pay your bills on time, your score goes up. If you jaywalk, it goes down. If you criticize the government online, it goes down rapidly. Although social credit means that you cannot even buy plane tickets, you cannot get loans, your children can't attend good schools, and you become a second-class citizen in your own country. Anyway, is it all sounding so familiar? Well, North Korea does it the same, but on a much more brutal scale. The crazy part is that this isn't even a pilot program. It is a nationwide policy affecting 1.4 billion people every single day. But what happened next was even worse. Xinjiang's case. In China's far western region of Xinjiang, the Communist Party decided to test how far the surveillance could go. Xinjiang is home to Uyghurs, a predominantly Muslim ethnic minority of about 12 million people. Starting around 2014, the Chinese government declared that Uyghurs are a security threat. They claimed that these separatists were committing acts of terrorism. Their response was total surveillance. Authorities installed cameras inside homes and even forced these citizens to install spyware apps on their phones that monitored all their communications. They set up checkpoints every few hundred meters where police scanned IDs and checked their phones. Religious practices were also criminalized, and growing up here became suspicious. Praying at home became evidence of extremism. Speaking Uyghur instead of Mandarin became a red flag too. By 2017, the system had evolved into something brutal. Authorities began mass detentions, not in dozens, hundreds, but in millions. Between 2017 and 2019, China detained an estimated 1 to 3 million Uyghurs in what the government called re-education camps. Leaked documents reveal the truth too. These weren't schools, they were basically prisons. Footage smuggled out of Xinjiang showed prisoners in identical blue jumpsuits, shackled and blindfolded, being loaded onto trains. These were rows of them, hundreds at a time, sitting motionless with shaved heads. It looked like archival footage from the 1940s, except this was 2019, and it was unacceptable. Inside the camps, prisoners were forced to renounce Islam, study Communist Party propaganda, and pledge loyalty to Xi Jinping. They were subjected to torture, sterilization, and even slave labor. Women even reported a lot of dark stuff that was done by the guards, and their families reported relatives disappearing and never returning. China denied everything they did. They claimed that the camps were voluntary vocational training centers. After that, they said that the camps were necessary to fight terrorism. International journalists who tried to investigate were asked and even expelled, but the evidence kept leaking out. Satellite imagery showed extensive construction of detention facilities. Documents revealed government quotas for arrests. Survival testimonies described these horrific abuses too. By 2021, multiple government officials declared China's actions in Xinjiang a genocide. China's response was to build more cameras, heighten surveillance, and silence critics. But what happened next shocked the entire world. Social credit system. Even though the world is focused on Xinjiang, China quietly rolled out its social credit system nationwide. The system works like this. Every citizen starts with a base score, typically around 1,000 points. Their behavior either raises or lowers that score. Good behavior can include things like volunteering, donating to charity, paying bills on time, and everything that a government wanting to control you would want you to do. Bad behavior could be things like traffic violations, smoking in non-smoking areas, not visiting your elderly parents, criticizing the government, and associating with people who have low credit scores. The scoring here is automated. Cameras track you, your phones track you, payment apps track you, and even your employers report on you. Even the neighbors can report you. By 2020, over 200 million Chinese citizens were enrolled in various social credit pilots. By 2025, the system became functionally nationwide. The consequences are severe. In just 2018 alone, Chinese authorities banned people with low social credit scores from buying 17.5 million plane tickets and 5.5 million high-speed train tickets. People with bad scores are also publicly shamed. Their photos and name appear on different billboards on the public transit screen and even in movie theaters before the film starts. Some cities have implemented deadbeat maps where you can see locations of people with low credit scores in real time. Businesses won't even hire you, banks won't give you money, and dating apps flag you as trustworthy. Your children suffer because of your scores, they cannot attend certain schools, and they cannot even get government jobs. The system creates a permanent underclass of citizens whose digital reputation prevents them from participating in society. It is called the thought police. China calls it social management, but the surveillance doesn't stop at borders. To subscribe now, because what's coming next will shock you. Exporting the nightmare. China isn't keeping the technology to itself, it is also selling it. Huawei was once not only a giant in China, but in the whole world. The crazy part is that the exact company that we used to love the most has been installing surveillance systems in countries across Africa, Asia, the Middle East, and even parts of Europe. In Zimbabwe, they built a facial recognition network for the government that tracks opposition politicians and activists. In Ecuador, Chinese surveillance tech monitors citizens and flags suspicious behaviors for police. If we go to Serbia, Chinese cameras equipped with facial recognition now watch over Belgrade's streets. The system came with a catch. The data flows back to China. Intelligence agencies have warned for years that Chinese surveillance equipment creates a backdoor for Beijing to spy on other nations. But cash-strapped governments don't even care about it anymore. China offers the technology cheaply, sometimes even for free, financed by massive loans from Chinese state banks. It is called the Digital Silk Road. China is building a global surveillance network, one camera at a time, and the crazy part is that it is working. By 2025, over 80 countries will have purchased or installed Chinese surveillance technology, with nearly half the world's nations participating in a Beijing-controlled surveillance infrastructure. Critics call it authoritarianism as a service, but what happens next reveals the truth and the true scale of China's ambitions. The Great Firewall. So far, we've talked about the Chinese social credit system, but there's a bigger picture to that. It is China's internet censorship system, known as the Great Firewall, and it has existed since the late 1990s. It blocks foreign websites, censors content, and monitors all online activity. But in recent years, it has evolved into something even more aggressive, which is an offensive weapon. In 2019, during the Hong Kong protests, Chinese authorities didn't just censor information domestically. They launched a coordinated disinformation campaign on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube to discredit the protesters. Thousands of fake accounts spread propaganda, posted doctored images, and harassed activists. The campaigns were traced back to Chinese state media and intelligence services. When COVID-19 emerged from Wuhan in late 2019, China's censorship operators went into overdrive. Doctors who tried to warn about the virus were silenced completely. Citizen journalists who filmed inside Wuhan hospitals disappeared too. Online posts measuring the virus were deleted within minutes. Then, China launched a huge global propaganda campaign, claiming that the virus didn't originate in China at all. State media spread conspiracy theories blaming the US military, Italian researchers, and frozen food imports. Chinese diplomats on Twitter ignored the news that China was the root cause of COVID-19. Digital authoritarianism that started with domestic surveillance had become a tool for global influence, but the system's true power was revealed in Hong Kong. Hong Kong's case. Now let's move back in time to 2019, when Hong Kong exploded in protest. Over 2 million people took to the streets opposing the Beijing extradition law. The protesters knew what they were up against: China. A surveillance state was watching, recording, and identifying everyone. So, the fallback. Protesters wore masks. They used lasers to blind facial recognition cameras. They even communicated through encrypted apps and pulled down smart lamp posts equipped with sensors. It became a cat-and-mouse game between protesters who were trying to stay anonymous and authorities who were trying to catch them. However, ultimately, China won. By 2020, Beijing imposed a national security law on Hong Kong that criminalized virtually all of the hatred against the government. The law carried penalties up to life imprisonment for subversion, terrorism, and collusion with foreign forces. The definitions were deliberately vague because anything could be a crime. Under the surveillance network, authorities began arresting protest leaders. Jimmy Lai, a media mogul and democracy activist, was arrested and sentenced to prison. Joshua Wong, a student leader, was jailed. Dozens of lawmakers and activists fled the country. Hong Kong's free press was dismantled. Apple Daily, the largest pro-democracy newspaper, was forced to shut down after authorities froze its assets and arrested its editor. Universities were also purged, students' unions were disbanded, and books were banned. Monuments commemorating the Tiananmen Square massacre were also removed. By 2025, Hong Kong, which was once Asia's freest city, will be indistinguishable from mainland China. The surveillance state that was tested in Xinjiang had been perfected in Hong Kong. And it's scary. It's permanent. And almost unreal. But the scariest part is that Western tech companies helped build this. Cisco provided networking equipment. Microsoft provided software. Google explored a censored search engine for China before employee backlash killed the project. Silicon Valley trained Chinese engineers and American venture capital funded Chinese AI startups. Chinese companies like Huawei, Hikvision, and SenseTime are now global leaders in surveillance technology, often willing to compete directly with Western companies. Right now, the answer to whether this system will actually be disbanded is unclear. But we know for sure that George Orwell saw something back in the days that we all failed to. Drop a comment with your thoughts on China's governance state. Is it the future of the entire world? Subscribe now because we are exposing the deepest, darkest sides of history and our modern world.